Hey, Monica, did you know it's now even easier to listen to Around the Hay Bale podcast?
What? Really? How easy?
That's right. All you have to do is say, Alexa, play Round the Hay Bale podcast.
Playing Round the Hay Bale podcast on Apple Music.
Ooh, we're really fancy now.
Tune in to Round the Hay Bale every Monday at 9 a.m. Central Time.
Grab a cup of joe and let's gather round that hay bale. With your hosts, Ann from Andale Homestead, Cayce from Ormsby Farms, Monica from Bland's Promised Land Ranch, and Sandi from Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. Here they are. Hey, Yall Hey!
Hey, y'all. Hey, it's Ann with Andale Homestead.
And this is Sandi from Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona.
Hey, everyone, it's Cayce over at Ormsby Farms.
And I'm Monica at Bland's Promised Land Ranch. Okay, so today, if you're listening to us on the podcast app, we are excited because you can see our faces. If you want to see us in person, well, kind of in person, just head on over to our YouTube channel, like and comment. We love having you there too. We love reading all the great comments you leave us. It helps the YouTube algorithm as well, and it helps us get our podcast out to all the like-minded people that are out there that want to hear what we have to say. So click our link tree down below. It'll take you over to all our social media links and click on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And now let's talk about today's episode. We are talking about ways to make money on the homestead, whether it's a CSA, whether it's educational workshop, maybe you're market gardening, or maybe you're just, selling firewood. There's lots of ways to make money on your homestead. And I know that for each of us, we've probably not really thought about it, but there's lots of those little sideways things that we do that we didn't really think about it first. There's big things like, for instance, I sell beef. We sell shares of meat and things like that. But there's also some other little ways that maybe you're not thinking about. And I think Miss Ann was like, I don't even know where to start with this. Like, how am I making money on my homestead? But there's lots of different ways. I know Sandi is chomping at the bit, because I know that you've got some ways that you've been kind of thinking about. So can you give us something that is maybe something unique that maybe no one out there is thinking about of ways to make money on the homestead, something not so obvious?
Well, let's say you live on a homestead and you have extra trees, right? Now, some people, like you mentioned, that maybe you're going to sell firewood. Mm-hmm. But what about if you want to do woodworking? There are people that are very talented with woodworking. You could sell your timber. But did you actually know the government has a program that's called carbon credit, and they will pay you not to cut your trees? And so you can apply for that. It's a government agency. You have to go through some rigmarole. But when I was really thinking about it, it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to have chickens, I'm going to sell eggs. But let's break that down. What if you have chickens? If you live someplace that you can sell poultry, the processed chicken. Right. What about hatching eggs for people besides selling the eggs? Or you hatch them yourselves and you sell the baby chicks. Or you wait till they're pullets and you sell them for a larger price because you know if they're males or females. Wow. Yeah, every single thing that we have, we can break down. What about you, Ann? What are you thinking off the top of your head?
That all sounds amazing. It really does sound good because we do have to think out of the box sometimes. And as I was sitting here thinking, well, how do I make money on my homestead? And right here in front of me, I have my infused oils and things that I have made, the calendula infused oil and the cayenne pepper infused oil. I have goldenrod tincture. I'm getting ready to make some, it's a Mexican oregano with grapeseed oil as far as infused to be able to have that. And these are really good, healthy things that I can potentially share with our community as far as selling, making some money. How about you, Cayce? What do you have a great farmer's market that you go to on a regular basis?
We do. Well, and one thing that, listen, I'm not as organized as Sandi, but I do like my lists. Okay. I am a list kind of guy. at the very beginning of the year, I like to sit down because listen, farmers markets aren't year round on bringing in that income. You have to go month by month, and I'll sit down and be like, okay, January, how am I going to make money on the homestead in January when farmers markets are not running?
Mm-hmm.
Really, most of the time, your hens aren't a laying, aren't a henning. For you to be able to hatch chickens or sell that kind of stuff. So I sit down and I go month to month. What can I sell? What can I do to bring in that money? Yeah. Now, beside the farmer's market, what Sandi said, I have started where I'm hatching chickens or turkeys for people. Turkeys, especially because people, one, don't want to keep a tom and a hen on their property, but want a turkey to raise up for meat. And you can sell them for a lot more. Like when I bought my turkeys 3 years ago, they were $9 a baby that she hatched. And that was just a mix. But to also be able to sell them as pullets, because I have to say, I'm the pullet whisperer.
Okay, cool.
I was texting Monica the other day. We have 22 American breasts. Go back and check out some of our previous episodes on that. Babies that hatched. And so I'm looking, I'm like, how am I going to sex to these chickens? Which is another thing. You can be a sexer for people to go over and be paid to say, yes, from my knowledge, I think this is a girl, this is a boy. I know that because I actually had to hire somebody. But out of the 22 chickens, I had 18 females, which is very unheard of. Only 4 roosters. And all of my friends like, Cayce, you're the hen whisperer. You're the chicken whisperer. So that's
great.
That we do is, make not only, as Sandi said, selling the eggs, sexing the chickens, hatching the chickens, raising them up for meat to then sell, or selling them as laying hens or pullets. So what about you, Monica? Because I know you're predominantly meats.
So I like what Sandi did, right? So she took the chicken and she said, just because you have chickens doesn't mean you have to just sell eggs. So I thought about it a second ago and I was kind of making notes over here. And, for instance, with cattle and pigs. So we raise our own beef. We raise a lot of cattle. And so with the cattle alone, I'm thinking there's like 4 or 5 different ways to make money from just raising cattle because they're a big investment. So you may not have the space or the time for cattle, but that's where I can help you and you can help me make money, right? So I purchased the cattle and now I can either have a milk cow and I can sell the milk or barter the milk if it's not legally able to sell, because you can barter, and bartering is still making money. And I want people to remember that because you're not necessarily physically taking money in, but you're bartering, you're trading, you're valuably trading things. And any way you're bringing some value back to your farm is a way for you to make money, because any way for you that you're saving money is you're still putting money in your pocket, if that makes sense. So you can either milk cows, you can have babies and sell the calves each year, which we try to do. When we have cows, we'll have maybe 5 or 6 calves each year, and we will keep 2 for ourselves and then sell the other 3. Typically that's just what we do, because if we keep 2 for us each season, then we know that's going to be good for us for the year. You can either sell the beef right away, you can sell shares of the beef, or you can even rent your bull out for stud services, because I'm just sorry, but look, bro gets tired of our girls after a little bit of time because they're already pregnant. So if you give him something to do, his job as a bull is to get girls pregnant. That's it. That's his only job, is to get them pregnant. So by studying him out and letting people, because not everybody wants a bull either. They can be a little more bullish and be aggressive sometimes and give a little bit more trouble to people. So renting your bull out is a good thing. Just having those stud services, or maybe even just having the skills that you have from raising cattle, then you can do workshops on how to raise cattle. And you can charge people. You can bring them in. You can show them your cattle. You can show them how to check them, how to take care of them in your space. I mean, all those different ways. We have a cattle shoot. Having people over and teaching them classes on how to properly administer vitamins and medicines and check their teeth and check their body down. That's a whole skill. Just like you said, Cayce, with hiring somebody to come over and, sex your animals, that's a big deal. And, I've already thought, okay, I need to hire somebody to come over here and preg check these girls right here on our property, because taking them to the vet can be just annoying. And it can just be, it's something that I really don't want to grab a pregnant cow and drive them to the vet, have them get checked, and then bring them back. Sometimes that stirs them up enough that I don't want to unsettle them. If I already have the capability of doing it here on property, I'd rather do that. So if I hired someone to come in, that's a skill that they are now getting paid for. So there's lots of different ways to make money with just one animal on your homestead. And the idea to just be able to have workshops. I think honestly, the workshop thing is one of the best things for me. You know, you have skills that you're acquiring on your homestead. Why not share them? And people will pay money for your information. I mean, like, we are privileged to sit here with Sandi and like just like eat up all the information we can, and it's free. But I would pay money, and people do, to go to these homesteading conferences and listen to what these people are saying. That's a dream of mine. Like, honestly, I am dreaming of going to homesteading conferences and having someone give me $5 to show up. Like, I don't even care if they pay me at this point, but that would be a dream of mine, for us to be able to go and just drive around the country and give homesteading, you know, talks, because that's something that we know that we can help people with. And if you have a skill, why not share it and offer your skill as workshop, you know, help and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's just so many ways. I love the breakdown of the one animal thing. I think that's awesome. And I've talked too much now. So Sandi, what else do you got? What else do you have?
Well, I was talking to somebody, a homesteader. They have quite a bit of acreage, right? And I said, well, what are you doing with this other part of your acreage? What are you doing? And it's like, well, we're not really doing anything with it. And I said, well, if you're not doing anything with it, then you're losing income that you could have. And so I thought, what kind of things could you do? So I was doing some research on what you could do with extra land. And there are people that are building tiny homes and letting people rent them. Sometimes they take that to the next level, and they spend a week on their farm and they learn about farming or ranching.
Awesome.
I thought that was interesting. There were some people that were adding wind turbines and solar to not only do their electricity, but they make a profit on that because they're selling them back to the companies. There are people that are leasing to other farmers because they're not using that section, or they're letting them graze in that section. They're letting beekeepers come out and they get as part of the honey. There's just all these little different things to do. If you have extra buildings on your property that maybe you're not using, why not do a workshop there? If you don't want people on your property, why not rent that out for storage for people? I mean, storage is a huge thing. That people are paying. I mean, little storage units are paying $100 a month for those.
Yeah.
You know, if you have buildings that you're not using, people would pull their RVs in there. They would put their extra stuff in there, and then they're not really bothering you. But you're still making basically passive income because you don't have to do anything. And I just think I think you got to look at your property, walk around and say, what can I do? The biggest growing sector right now is market gardens. You know, when the United States does their incomes of Americans, that is a huge growing sector. And sometimes there's CSAs. Some people are literally renting plots on their property for people to garden.
Wow. And what is an SSA?
A CSA?
A CSA.
You're growing the vegetables, and those people get them either like once a week, every 2 weeks, once a month.
Gotcha. Okay.
They do ahead of time. And the people put in vegetables, they put flowers, they put herbs in there. Sometimes there's eggs, meat, depending on what the person is growing.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It's a great little program. I mean, there's a couple of people that do it in the town where we live, and a lot of it is based around meat here. More of a meat package deal kind of thing, but renting out spots for somebody else to garden. I mean, what a good idea. Because then you don't have to worry about taking care of it. That person should be able to take care of their own little plot. Plus you're making money. It's also a good way to meet other like-minded people. You know, to get your little circle widened, you know.
That's right, because we do feed off of each other. We get
Yeah.
ideas and knowledge from each other, and to have someone that would be interested in gardening on your property and potentially
Mhm.
renting a spot to them sounds amazing and wonderful.
And so if you do these little plots, right,
Mhm.
you're growing your vegetables anyway, right? So
Mhm.
why not sell them seedlings?
Yep.
You might get garden supplies that either they buy from you or they rent from you. Like maybe they don't have tools, maybe they don't have a tiller, and they're renting this plot, and for $5 you'll till it, or you'll let them you'll teach them how to use a tiller. You know, I just think that we need to open our world is what we
Yeah.
need to do.
We're in a little teeny spot and we
Yeah.
can open it wide. So
Well,
that sounds
I like the idea too of, like, I was thinking about when you're talking about gardening, what about specialty produce, right? So you may be the one of the few in the area that sell that specialty produce or that specialty plant that people want. I know for like years, especially after 2020, the year, people were like, "Oh my gosh, does anybody have elderberry? I need elderberry trimmings. I need this." And I'm like, "Y'all, elderberry is not just going to be stuck a stick in the ground. It's going to grow for next year. Like that's
right.
not like it's not you're not going to have like boom." But having knowledge about how to grow certain plants and trees and fruits and berries and
Yeah.
vegetables, having
Right.
that knowledge and then having those trimmings, like you're saying, Sandy, like that's a thing. And there are things that are booming, like certain times of the year, people want certain cuttings of trees.
That's right.
People were going crazy. I remember a couple of years ago, people were like, I want to grow blueberry bushes. I want to grow all my own fruit. I want to do this. I need elderberries. And it's so fun to watch some of these same people that were going for the elderberry trees years ago are holding handfuls of their own homegrown
Right.
elderberries.
Yeah.
Bravo
Hey,
to them, but I'm gonna buy mine because it's a lot easier than having to dry them things out and having to worry about all that. I watched Carmen over at G's Loving Homesteader. She was trying to she's like, how do I get these berries off these twigs? I'm like, Shh, you call from Amazon, girl. That's what you do. But it
well,
is
I
such a
mean,
neat thing, right?
I paid $10 for two elderberry cuttings.
Yeah.
I mean, she got them from her own bush in her yard, and that was to help with shipping. But still, I mean, if I could think of that, that would be
Yeah.
amazing.
If
Yeah.
you're
And Sandy,
local and you have a specialty item, why not?
Yeah,
right,
like Cayce has pear trees. In the
Mhm.
wintertime, why doesn't he cut scions off, put it online and tell them what kind of pears they are, and sell those scions to people that are going to root them on a rootstock?
that's awesome.
Use
I'm over here like my chains are the whole, like I'm sitting here smiling and nodding to what y'all are saying, but really I'm over here. I'm like, okay, if I do
You're
a
taking
5
some
foot
notes.
by 8 foot plot, if I rent it for $30 a month,
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
then he
All of a
already has
sudden,
me thinking. I'm like, okay, new business opportunity.
That's right.
Casey's greenhouse is going to be a new wedding venue. Have your
Right.
tiny
Mhm.
wedding right here on the
That's
Ormsby
right.
Farms.
Mhm. Correct.
That would be great.
But
Yeah,
there's so many things you can do.
Yeah.
and use programs that are available to you. Like almost every state in the United States has a program that you can get a greenhouse. They're large greenhouses. They do have stipulations. Sometimes you have to do reports for 3 years. They're not just going to give you a greenhouse that they want you to be using it for farmers markets or making certain things so that they can see that it's expanding what people can grow.
Uh-huh.
So take advantage, contact your Department of Ag, see what kind of grants and what kind of things they have. They have specialty grants. So if you want to grow a certain thing that you haven't grown yet, like I'm working on a specialty grant for garlic. I would like to do literally acres of garlic in Wyoming because it likes growing here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, probably because of the cold, right?
Right. Because I like to grow hardneck garlic. And if that's something that can help you jumpstart your business, use that. What do you know? Like I love bees. I can get the honey, the wax, the propolis. I can split hives and sell more bees if I wanted to. What do you have right in front of you that you haven't been looking for? Like if Cayce has knowledge, Monica has knowledge of ranches, farms. There are people that would like to go on vacation. They'd like somebody to feed their animals, like Monica's
That's right.
boys do.
That's what my boys do. As soon as people in the neighborhood leave, or even just during the school year. I mean, they have people that take trips, they go out of town, they work farther away. And my boys go over there 3 or 4 times a week sometimes, take care of their animals. They do that. Yeah, it's true.
Pet
That's a
sitting.
great way to do it. Farm sitting. Farm
Yep.
sitting. If
Farm
you
sitting.
But I was thinking about too, like herbs, if you grow herbs and you have an extra amount, maybe you make your own homemade teas or your own homemade tinctures. Why
Mhm.
not sell them or share them and barter those? And I don't know all
Right.
the rules to selling teas and tinctures and things, but I do know that, I mean, if I make some tallow balm and I'm making some lotion for my friends and they're like, "Hey girl, I got a bunch of stuff over here. If we can swap, can I swap with you?"
Right.
Absolutely, I will swap because it's going
And
to save you
that is making money on the homestead too, because you're not
Yeah,
spending that physical dollar. Like
exactly.
when I do soaps, like I think all of us do homemade soaps,
Mhm.
but a batch of the soap probably, if you cut it correctly, is 8 to 10 bars.
Mhm.
Okay, thinking of how many bars do I truly use in a year? Okay, yeah, and then sell the rest of them, because if you sell the rest of them, it can make your soap free-ish,
Right.
to the
Yeah.
extent, and then that's making you money. Same thing when I'm doing my meat chickens. I'm raising these meat chickens. I want to sell enough of the meat chickens that makes my meat free. I'm making money now on my homestead
Great idea.
because I'm able to have these meats. So anything that you can think of out of I'm thinking some of these women that make the cutest little wreaths for all the different holidays.
Uh-huh.
Why not grab 2 or 3 more, sell them, so then your wreath that you're making, because holiday decor is expensive. I have a problem and spend a lot of money on holiday decor. But that's just a way for you to kind of balance it out and make the zero and make money on your homestead by
Yeah.
doing 1 extra or 2 extras. So
There you
so
go.
many different options.
That's right. Well, Monica, you and your family have done several videos on rabbitry, as far as how to process rabbits, how to raise rabbits, how to look after rabbits, all those things. I have not had that experience. And so it was very educational for me. But being able to have that animal that is not, you don't have to have a large space for it.
Yeah.
It can be something small. Could you tell us a little bit more about your rabbits that you have, as far as how you could make money with them?
So I think, with rabbits, because they are a quieter animal. So if you live in a community where chickens are outlawed because you have an HOA or whatever it is, maybe you can have rabbits. So rabbits aren't really going to make a lot of noise. They thump and they sometimes squeak and stuff like that. But you can raise rabbits even inside your home if you really needed to.
Mhm.
And you can raise them for meat still inside your home. Now, legally, I don't know what you can do in your state, what you can do to sell the rabbits. Here, when it comes to selling rabbit meat, we kind of go the long way around on that one. We will
Mhm.
sell you a live rabbit that if you would like to come here and let us show you how to do the processing or do it in front of you with you, then you can take home a processed rabbit. That way, we're not
Mhm.
selling you a processed rabbit. We're selling you a whole rabbit, a live
Right.
one. And having a live animal for sale is fine. But one of the ways you can do that is by you raise your rabbits, you allow them to breed, and then you raise those little babies and you either sell them as pets, because if you, some of our animals, so when our girls have their babies, usually they have them in clusters of anywhere between 8 and 10. And when they have their little babies, we will handle them as much as we possibly can. It just depends on the season that we're in on the farm, whether or not they get really handled. Sometimes they get brought into the house and we let them hop all over the floor, so they get really friendly. Those we've actually used, we've rented them out. We've actually had people pay us to use them for photography shoots.
Okay.
So you can do that if you have other animals. You have goats that are super friendly, cows that are super friendly, horses that are super friendly. You can actually approach photographers and say, I have a really amazing animal. I don't know if you're interested in using them for photography, but I'm willing to rent them out to you. That's a great
Mhm.
way for you to make money if you do raise animals. And bunnies are no exception. You can do that with bunnies. But those are the bunnies also that we will try to sell as pets. If they don't make the cut and they don't go as pets, then they end up in a jar. But the point is that you can make money that way by selling the animals or raising them for meat. And you're raising a quiet meat source that's very quickly regenerative.
Right.
Rabbits only take 28 days to kindle. Usually between 28 and day 32, they kindle. And usually we process ours about 12 to 16 weeks. We don't push food on them. We'd free feed them, but we control what they eat. So they're not getting crazy fat and crazy big, and we don't push food on our animals usually ever. So we usually process our bunnies in between 16 or 12 and 16 weeks or so. And I mean, they make enough for us as a family. So,
and their poop is like gold.
and their poop, and you can take their poop. That's what I was thinking too at first, and I forgot. But yeah, you can take their poop, scoop it into a big bag, and sell it for $10 or $15.
Right.
Their food is, I mean, their poop is cold compost, which you can throw on your trees or in your garden or whatever, and you don't have to let it compost down.
Yeah.
Okay, let's break it a little bit farther though.
Okay.
What else can you do? Now, when they're processed, you have a hide. So
I do.
If
That's
you
right.
have the ability, if you know somebody who likes to tan, they can do that.
Yeah.
Then you can take that tanned hide, and what can you make out of it?
Oh my gosh. all kinds
People
of
make
stuff.
jackets, they make bags, they do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Every bit of it can be used.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
when
Actually, the ears, you can actually take the ears and dehydrate the ears and use them for animal chew. Like, like they have the raw hides. You can use their ears for that. I do know that. But yeah,
yeah, break everything you have down.
true. Yeah. I didn't-
Utilize everything. That's just amazing.
we
That's
did try to
awesome.
make rabbit feeds one year, but that's not a thing for us. But you could. They used to pay money before PETA. They used to pay money for rabbit foots.
Well, here in Wyoming and South Dakota, we have what they call a jackalope, which
Wow.
isn't really an animal.
Are you sure?
They take the fur, the after it's tanned, the head, everything, and then they add these little antelope horns or deer horns to them.
Mhm.
Right.
And I mean, they sell them everywhere.
They
So-
do jackalopes.
You just have to find the right markets for
Yeah,
what you have.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a made up pretend animal, right, Sandy? That it's just for fun.
Yeah.
But there's one also, because I was just
Crazy.
asked at the farmer's market, because we sell whole holiday turkeys. I can't remember what it was. Is a turkey stuffed with a duck or
A turducken.
turducken. There we go. That's another one. I have no clue what it is.
So it's where you take a turkey and then you stuff it with a duck, and then you stuff it with a little like mini chicken or a turkey duck chicken. Basically, you stuff them inside of one another
Yeah, and cook them.
and cook them. And then you prank somebody saying that turkey was pregnant when you cooked it. And then they pull out the thing inside. And then you have like mortified, unknowing people. I've seen lots of videos on that. That could go
And
viral.
mortified podcast listeners.
Yeah, the interesting thing is certain states will let you do things that other states will not let you do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So like say Anne wants to sell something, but her state will not let her.
Right.
Well, her state will let her teach a class about that.
Yep.
And so the individual person that took your class can make those things. Like some places have regulations on tincture because it's made with alcohol.
Right.
And some will let you sell them, some will not let you sell them. But you could certainly do a workshop on it.
Absolutely.
I mean, they do workshops all the time about raw milk and the benefits of milk and the differences in the A2A2 and all that. And you got to go find a way to do what you're going to do,
Gosh.
Yeah, I know in Georgia, as long as you add pet grade to it, you can sell anything legally. Like for us in state of Georgia, I am allowed to sell you a whole processed chicken and turkey. I cannot sell you a chicken breast, chicken thigh. I cannot piece them off unless you call it pet grade.
Oh, for Whole Foods, for pet food.
Yeah, pet food, pet grade chicken breasts.
Yeah.
So that's a way. Also, same thing. We can't, under cottage food, sell you anything that is pressure canned, meaning broths, meat, all of that kind of stuff, unless you say it's pet grade bone broth for food, and then you're able to sell it. So it's a good thing that you said that, Sandy, because there's a lot of stipulations for different states. If you do your research, then you know how you can still make money off of oopie dooping the government, the letter people, and to figuring out the way that you legally can do it. Because, I mean, we sell, there's not us particularly, but there's somebody at our farmer's market that sells pet grade raw milk. And one thing that she says is, I can't tell you who your pets are, whether it's your husband or your actual pet, but I am able to sell you pet grade milk.
Okay.
And you do what you want with this pet grade milk.
Right.
You know what? One thing we haven't talked about is what things do you just do? Like, do you play the guitar? Do you play the piano that you could do lessons? You could teach other people to do that. Are you a crafter and you could teach somebody how to sew?
Are you really good at like Canva or these electrical things, these, electronic things where you can just make? My sister's really good at, we homeschool, right? So my sister and I homeschool our kids. She's really good at making these little worksheets for her kids. And I'm like, why are you not making these and putting them up and selling them on Etsy
Right.
or wherever? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not good at it. So you know what I do? I go to Etsy or I go to Teachers Bay Teachers and I find these printables and I'm going to pay $3 a printable. Not to say that $3 doesn't add up when you buy like 150 different things, but $3 is $3 in my mind. That's how I math it. So she can, but $3 adds up. Look at what Alicia did with her crochet pattern. She made a pattern for an apron. And now it's making her money every month.
Right.
So yeah, you're right, Sandi. Look at the things you already do.
And we could probably talk about this for another 2.5 hours. But what you can do, if you want more on ways to make money, I hope you join us Friday, on our live Hey Yall Hey radio show. We'll be chit-chatting about ways to make money. We may even talk about a little bit of like YouTube and Instagram money. Not much there, but we'll talk a little about that. If you head over to our YouTube channel, come to our Hey Yall Hey, be sure that you are subscribing, because once we hit 500, we're going to do a giveaway. So this has been fun. Thank y'all for coming in and listening and seeing our bright and shiny faces for the second episode in a row of doing this. We will see you next week on the episode. So bye, y'all. Bye.
Bye.